morning, panelists, students, parents, and other participants. Welcome to our fifth webinar series of the academic year 21-22 in this knowledge sharing platform organized by the Indian School of Commerce on the topic Finance Skills of Future and Building the Talent Gap. Indian School of Commerce is an initiative of ISDC, International Skill Development Corporation, offering the integrated global dual bachelor's and master's degree program in international business and finance, validated by the University of West of Scotland. These world-class programs are also accredited by 8 other global qualifications and exemptions that present an enormous opportunity for leading national and global employers to tap into the available talent pool, thus paving way for the students to be a part of the dynamic accounting and financial ecosystem of the future. I'm Bindu Menon, Manager Student Relations and Placement at Indian School of Commerce. In the panel today, we have with us Mr. Jitu Koshi, General Manager of Finance and Accounts, Virohan, and Director, Board Member with Vivartana Ventures India Private Limited, Dr. Prakash Menon, International Speaker, Author, Mentor, Thought Leaders Global Partner, Australia, Mr. S.P. Kamath, Executive Director and Company Secretary, Amalgam Group of Companies. We also have 4 of our students and alumni. Ananta Krishnan, who has done his BA Honours in International Business and Finance. He is actually an ex-EY and currently working as Finance Manager. Vivek Pradeep has done his MBA in International Business and Finance, an entrepreneur successfully running logistics business. Abhishek Gupta is in the final year of BA Honours in International Business and Finance. Sai Krishna was pursuing his ACCA program with ISDC Trivandrum. Students from our Kochi, Trivandrum and Bangalore campus have joined with us. Welcome all. It is said, occupations and their skill requirement are not set in stone. We are also capable of adjusting to shifts in the economic environment. The world of finance has transformed tremendously in recent years with the rapid evolution of technology. On the other hand, it is estimated that nearly 2/3 of children who started school in 2016 will go on to have jobs that doesn't exist yet. How do we prepare this new generation for the business of the future, while at the same time retrain hundreds of millions of people whose world is evolving? The projection is that within 20 years, 90% of all jobs will require some digital skills, but we still need strong cultures in our communities and workplaces that promote mentoring and development of soft skills. With most roles and jobs likely to become less defined and more fluid, continuous retraining and upskilling are needed to take advantage of new opportunities as they arise. In today's competitive, digitized and business environment, the company's future depends on the leadership in creating business intelligence and analytics that can be fast, responsive, flexible, and adaptable. The panelists today, the right combination of expertise from finance and HR, are to take us through the topic with insights on the area of specialization. Over to the speaker slot, please. Request the speakers to use your allotted time of 10 minutes to speak on your respective topic. May I invite Mr. Jitu Koshi, General Manager of Finance and Accounts, Virohan, to speak on the topic, learning new finance skills in a constantly evolving world. Mr. Jitu Koshi has dedicated himself to helping youngsters gain freedom and liberation through the medium of education. He is a director, board member with Vivartana Ventures India Private Limited, an angel investor in 2 edtech companies and father of 2. Previously, he worked in Qatar with Orido, has worked with Varma and Varma Chartered Accountants and KPMG as an auditor in the first phase of his career. He's also done certification from Harvard and IIM Bangalore, qualified project management professional, USA, CIMA charter holder, UK, and PGDBA holder from Symbiosis University, Pune. Jitu is also an excellent communicator, having won various awards at multiple forums, the biggest one being his runner-up award at the Toastmasters Conference held in Oman in 2014, in a contest between the best from 7 GCC countries. He's also leader par excellence, the founder of the Phoenix cricket team, which plays in Division C of Qatar Cricket Association. He's a past president of CA Toastmasters Club and the past treasurer of the first overseas chapter of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Today, through his engaging sessions, social media interactions, and the like, he inspires what he calls a Phoenix community to rise from the ashes using education as a medium to lift themselves and their families permanently to greater heights. Over to Mr. Jitu Koshi, please.
Thank you, Bindu, for setting the tone for this wonderful session that you've organized. My warm regards to PK, Kamath, Sai Krishna, Abhishek, and all in the panel. This is a very pertinent and an important topic in today's day and age, right? Learning new finance skills in a constantly evolving world. When I looked at this topic and when you initially communicated this, I sort of looked at how should I go about this session. And I'm having a 10-minute slot, and how should I sort of put it in words which are easy for people to understand, but at the same time meaningful. So this sort of topic is best for technical jargons. Like you can throw a lot of jargons at this, and you can sound intellectually very very good, but then that doesn't serve the purpose. At the end of the day, the audience here is students. They are trying their best to equip themselves, to skill themselves, to be part of the workforce of the future. And for us, it's all the more important. We don't dread them with huge jargons, but just try and keep it simple and easy for them to understand. So my endeavor today is to do that in the next 8 to 10 minutes. So let me start this way. That technology is everywhere. Right? There is no living in this world without technology, and our students know it well. They themselves are using technology in different ways and forms. Now, what happens with the finance function is that when the company is using technology, to do its operations and to do all the things that are there in the company, finance automatically has to adopt technology. There is no two ways about it. They have to be used to using technology. They have to adapt to technology. And then there is also the cream layer, which is where finance itself, technology is evolving. For example, let's say Tally or Oracle or SAP or QuickBooks or Zoho Books. So these are all different, accounting systems which are there, or ERP systems which are there, and they all use technology at various levels. So, I would split this into two parts. One is where the company is using technology in some form or the other, and other part is where finance is using technology. So the students need to get used to both of these and to be able to navigate in such an environment to take things forward. That's the way I would look at learning the finance skills that is required for a constantly evolving technology-led world. Now, how can someone do this? So for me, it's basically a very simple 5 steps which we could look at. The first one is like understanding how the technology works itself. Just getting a basic feel of what is this technology that is getting used. What is it in the backend that is happening? The data which we are putting in, where is it going? Is it going into cloud, or is it a server sitting somewhere in the backside? So this is just to get an awareness of what is happening, and this awareness, what it does is basically opens out possibilities to people to say that okay, that particular system is putting all this data there, this system is putting all this data here. Now, can I make both of these talk and sort of get one data from the other system into this system, or can I bring both these together, from a data point of view? So that basic awareness of what are the technologies you're interacting with, and where the data storage happens and how it happens, and the entire architecture just gives a feel of what are the possibilities which are there. Now the real smart ones in the room would be able to pick that up and take it to the next level and reimagine stuff. The others would be just at least be aware that this is how things are done. So that is the first part, which is just understanding how technology works. Now the second part is understanding how business processes work. Right, the business processes has always been there, in some way or the other. When two people are working or two departments are working, obviously you need to have some sort of a norm there in how this is going to work, and then you put structures to it, right? Okay, this file will be passed on from this table to that table and from there to the other one. Now it's all in technology, it's forms basically. You will click on send, somebody else will approve, or maybe somebody else will review, the third guy will approve. So there are these business processes that get formed in conducting business. And the second part is that where you have an eye for the business processes. Ultimately, don't get lost in it. That's something which I did in my early days, like trying to understand the business process, and then by the time you reach halfway, you sort of forget from where you began, like the whole thing. So basically, the better way to do it is like keep the objective in mind of what are you trying to do. Oh, you're trying to understand the billing process. Okay, fine, you're trying to understand billing process. Now, okay, what are the steps involved in this, and trying to always connect back to those business processes and how technology is facilitating that, because definitely technology will be used in facilitating those business processes. Now the third thing, which is the most important thing for me, and where a lot of people get stuck, is being able to communicate with technical staff and business staff. So being able to connect and communicate is a big thing. Now when you talk to an engineer, he will talk in his own way. When you talk to a sales guy, he will talk his own way. When you talk to a product guy, a marketing guy, a finance guy, all of them have their own ways and channels of communication. Now, are you somebody who's able to at least understand what the other guy is saying and stay in the game? Like, at least where you don't put off the other guy, like, where he's telling something and you're like, oh, what? I don't even understand. Like, so that basic level of understanding and basic level of being able to communicate with others is sort of a very critical piece that will keep you afloat, because anything that you want to learn can always be learned as long as people are willing to talk to you. Like, but if you're somebody who is completely out of the universe and nobody wants to even connect with you, then it becomes a problem, right? So that is the third point which is there. The fourth point I would say is sort of understanding fintech evolution and how we could use it. So that is more coming from the finance domain. So as I said at the beginning, there is a operation-led technology change that is happening, we have to adopt to, but there is also a finance-led technology change that is happening, which we have to get used to. So understanding how that fintech space is evolving, understanding how different softwares are evolving. In the 1990s, when like I was young, Oracle SAP took off, right? It was big stuff. They were expected to do huge things, with the ERP solutions and all that. But looking back, I don't know if they really achieved all that. Like, I mean, we got a lot of data into systems, but whether that data really became useful or it became more of a chaos, I'm not so sure. Like, so today we're talking about blockchain and stuff that's gonna, take us into the future. So we'll have to look at all of these things with a very balanced frame of mind and try to understand and see where we fit in, and to have that basic knowledge. And believe me, guys, I'm talking to the students here, like, believe me, none of the guys out there have so much more knowledge than you have. Like, it's all about how much work you put into read and understand. It's nothing big here. It's not as if like we are building a house and then the second floor you can reach only after building the first floor. It's nothing like that. You can build up, you can start now, you can slowly start reading, understand, maybe make notes, and then things will start making sense to you. So that is the next fourth point which I had. And the final point is, when you're trying to understand technologies, whether it is operational technology or financial technology, try to link it to use cases as much as possible. This is so critical because, theoretically you may know something, or you may think you know something, or you may read something, but doesn't matter. At the end of the day, where is it used? There should be some human being using it. There should be somebody actually getting some benefit out of it. So try and understand where it is used, how it is used, long time, like 5 6 7 years. For I don't know where it was used for a long time, but now I see, like, for example, smart metering or smart parking, or waste collection. So there are many use cases which are coming up for IoT. But yeah, so it's very important for you to really understand technology, to see where it is actually getting used, and probably talk to some people who are actually using it. So that's what I would say. In this short period of 10 minutes which I had, I think these are the 5 points I had. Understanding how technology works, understanding how business processes work, being able to communicate to both these sides, and being able to do something, and then understanding how fintech evolutions is happening, and then finally understanding where these things are getting used, and trying to go and visit a place, talk to somebody who is actually using it. So when it comes to just the finance domain, I would say the most critical piece right now, which is in the market, is probably you being able to present some actionable business insights to the management. That I would say is the one critical piece. Whether you are a core finance guy knowing every single type of complex debit and credit, or you are a generalist sort of a guy, more with the presentation skills and all of that, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, whatever data you're crunching in the back end, are you able to come out there and present in a very simple manner which the management can understand, and take some actionable insights out of it? That is probably a key area. And yeah, and then obviously with the blitz scaling and the startup environment, with so much of explosion of data that's coming in, can you solve business challenges with technology? So these are the two things which I feel are very relevant right now. How something which was not possible 10 years back, 20 years back, with technology, how are you able to solve it today? So yeah, so that would be my 2 cents on this topic.
I think it is really difficult for the panelists to basically summarize everything in 10 minutes. I can really understand that. I'm sorry for that. Now, beautifully said. The technology. As you rightly said, finance to adapt technology, wherein there is a lot of technology in the finance itself. Trying to understand the difference between these two, and the importance of data point, and then how they need to really use those awareness, knowledge. And that is just not enough, and how to apply it in the practical way forward, and understanding how technology works. And then we're talking of the business process, how it works, and then the structures, students should really take care of it. And then the best thing is that the connect, or rather communication, right, that is very important. More than anything else, we were saying that creativity, which is supposed to be one of the best quality, termed as one of the best quality which is needed for the students in 2021. So being creative and submitting your creative ideas with passion, and it is just not for the people who are there in the creative media, but also applies to the finance students as well. That is an eye opener. Thank you, Mr. Jittu, for that wonderful thought. Now, as because you have said that you are in an ongoing meeting, and you have just taken time, to address the students. So I would rather pose the questions to you right now, so that you can The first question from one of the students is that the world of finance has grown beyond traditional big banks, as you rightly said, the SoFi and Stripe and Coinbase. All these things wouldn't have existed unless, there is a technology revolution. The student loan financing, the payment technology, cryptocurrency, all these things. What are the changes you foresee in the next 2 years in fintech, and how should the students be prepared for it? Most of the things you've already answered, but then again, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you look at technology evolution, there's so many things happening out there. It more depends on your taste as to like this. My answer would be more related to my taste and like where I am coming from, but I'll still give it a try. Basically, I definitely see blockchain getting adopted a lot more going forward. I'm seeing crazy use cases. A lot of use cases coming in. There are some bogus stuff happening as well, but then there are solid use cases as well. So I really think that this is going to explode, and we are going to see adoption at multiple layers of this, because fundamentally it's a game changer. The way blockchain works is fundamentally a game changer in how we saw technology till now and what we are going to see going forward. So as people say, it's post COVID and pre COVID is like an era. I would say post blockchain, pre-blockchain, beyond a level. I don't know which is that year, but I think it's very near. That is one part. Second is I see higher adoption of UPI. This is just from my observation in the market. Like I really can see that in the last 3-4 years, the way the UPI things have come through. I think in Jan 18 it was like 10,000 crores or something which was getting used in UPI. Today it's standing at 7 lakh crores. So that's the level of adoption. Even with the lower strata of the society, every single people have sort of adopted that technology. So there could be some very interesting things happening over there. And third, I think is like we saw in the telecom sector from 2000 to 2020 in India. Like now we have 2 or 3 major players, and then back then we had 15-20 players, right? So I think that the same thing is going to happen to banking as well, where neo banking is also going to come in quite high. A lot of small players with niche solutions, and then the big guys sort of connecting with them to make life easier for all of us. So I think these are 3 technological evolutions from a day-to-day life that I see. Banking consolidating for the bigger players, but then small neobanks adding value to the ecosystem, UPI usage, and then blockchain. Yeah.
Thank you. There's one more question. Finance, they say it not only involves formulas, Excel spreadsheets, ratios, and all these things, but it also involves analyzing these numbers and turning them into actionable business insights. We were just talking about that. Now, learning finance will teach you how to understand the difference between price and value, how to create value and how this affects the future. Now, in this unprecedented times, how do students actually do this? Because they cannot really, how is it possible? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, that's a very relevant question, but I think the start to this is just from the fundamentals itself, like, understanding business, correlating business to finance. There are some very nice sites now, like, for example, I'll quote one, which is screener.in, www.screener.in. You can just put a company's name over there. You would get the last 10 years of data in a very synchronous manner in one screen, and you're able to start making some sense of that data. So how do you correlate business and finance? So when you basically look at that data, sales has increased so much, cost has increased so much, the profitability increase or decrease, cash flow is generated or not, balance sheet, stuff like that. And then probably when you start making some sense of it, going to the particular annual report and just figuring out whether the business side of it makes sense as well. So there's a portion called management discussion and analysis in every annual report, wherein they would probably detail as to what happened that particular year and what is their outlook for the years going forward. So that is a good way to start connecting. Basically, you have to interpret the data, understand the data, and see how it's going to move in the future. And when you do that for multiple entities and multiple balance sheets, you start making sense of these things, and then you start connecting with the business insights as to what is happening, why is something happening a particular way. I think it comes with experience, definitely, for sure. Over a period of time, your capability to look at the right business insights comes in, but you can accelerate that journey by reading and sort of trying to do some mock exercises like what I just said.
Okay, so keeping themselves updated every time. Right, that's very important. So thank you, Mr. Jitu. And I would say on behalf of the students and Indian School of Commerce, I would say thank you for enlightening the students every time you come in every time coming up with new ideas, which is definitely helping them a lot. I'm looking forward to see you, in all our future webinars. And thank you very much for joining us today. Yeah.
Thank you, Bindu. Thank you. And, I request you to keep a recording or something. I want to hear Prakash sir and, Kamath sir, what they're going to say as well. It's unfortunate that I have to just, go out, but definitely, I'll, right. Yeah. Thank you. And all the best. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jitu. Thank you.
Thank
you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bye, Jitu.
Bye. Bye. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Now may invite Dr. Prakash Menon, international author, mentor, thought leaders, global partner, Australia, to speak on the topic, game-changing skills for the days ahead. Dr. Prakash Menon is a global partner with Thought Leaders Global Australia and the founder of Black Belt in Retail B School and Failed Smart Career Change B School. He is regarded by many as an authority on leadership transitioning and is an award-winning business thought leader and inspirational speaker. He is an internationally acclaimed speaker, published author, and dynamic mentor who specializes in the areas of thought leadership, career transitioning and acceleration, entrepreneurship, and education. Mr. Prakash combines strong, proven business acumen with wisdom, finesse, and poise. Mr. Prakash has had significant corporate careers across 2 continents, where he has fast-tracked his career to the top. A former board member and director of supply chain at Maya Australia, is one of the most sought out business strategists, currently engaged with multinationals and centers of excellence across the Middle East, Iran, India, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Australia, and the USA, streamlining processes, creating high performance cultures, and in adding significant values to the bottom line. His passion and expertise is to help industry leaders, corporate professionals, and leaders of the future turbo change their careers and position themselves globally among the best in their field. Over to Ms. Dr. Prakash Menon, please. Mr. PK, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Bindu. That was, I was thinking, was it me really? So that was very sweet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, greetings to, thank you, Bindu, for this amazing opportunity, and to all my fellow panelists and to all the students. So greetings from Melbourne. I know I can't see the students' faces, but I'm assuming they can see me, but I'm going to turn my camera off for a moment because I'm going to do a presentation, if that's okay with you, Bindu. Okay, yes, so. All right, you can hear me, I suppose. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, so let me just walk you through. So I just, the reason I've turned my camera off, because that way then you're not distracted looking at my face. So there are some key trends which I see talking about game-changing skills. I'll come to that in a second, but let me just give you some other trends that are happening around the globe. So you probably heard of the term VUCA. It is a very commonly used term, VUCA. For students who don't know, VUCA means volatile, uncertainty, complex, and ambiguous. So we are, of course, we've gone through COVID, but I mean, absolutely, VUCA is the very appropriate term. But so what happens during these challenging times? How do you deal with this? So let me just give you the context. So what you see on the screen here, going back to the 19th century, which is here, right here, this is 19th century industrial age, we call it. So industrial age was what we call the, our great grandfathers, they were just simply trying to survive. So the top noble professions were, you'd be a doctor or an engineer. Like my father was an engineer, said, son, no pressure, go become a doctor. Like typical Indian dad, he was telling me to become a doctor because he was an engineer. So, so that was how it was in the 19th century, the basic human needs. And that's kind of what we call the how era, H-O-W. So the great entrepreneur, Henry Ford, would tell his employees to say, this is how you will work, 9 to 5, okay? No fun at the workplace. And so that was how it was, the 19th century, okay? So the basic human needs as they were met, and we went from the basic needs to the 20th century. So we went from this era, which is in management term called MBI, management by instructions, to the 20th century, we call it MBO, that's management by objectives. Okay, so if you think about all the business schools, Wharton, Harvard, all this business school came along and knowledge was power. It's only the select few people actually could go and attend Wharton or Harvard. Not everyone could afford. So if you imagine, in the 1960s and 70s, you go to a doctor, whatever the doctor tells you is pretty much gospel. Because you're not going to argue with the doctor. Doctor says you need a surgery. Yeah, of course, doctor. Because you didn't have enough knowledge, because knowledge was seen as power. But something magical happened in the 1990s. You want to guess what happened? 1990s. Something magical happened. And this thing didn't happen. Google appeared. Google appeared and Wikipedia came and just changed the whole world. So now, if you go back, so after 1990s, information is no longer a sacred cow. So now someone goes to a doctor, the doctor better be absolutely better be clear about what he or she wants to tell the patient, because the patient might know more than the doctor, because they would have done, they'll go and Google something, not even internet. They'll actually say, I'll go and Google what's wrong with me, right? So we've now gone past the information age. We have now come into the 21st century, and that is this era, which is what we call MBV, management by values. So we've gone from the HOW era to what era, WHAT, to the Y era. Everyone wants to be a free spirit. I don't want to work for anyone. I want to be my own boss. I want to be the entrepreneur. You know what? That is all fine. But that is where I think the danger is, because if you only go with the Y alone, that is a sure case of disaster. Okay, I'm telling you, this is kind of where I see a lot of entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs. I'm myself one. So I know the frustrations and the challenges that I've been through. So you are no longer, so information is in the hands of everyone. So we're no longer in the information age. We've gone past the information age. We are in the conceptual age. It's called the conceptual age, the age of ideas. Ideas, meaning you can, people come up with ideas. So how can you go on to then leverage these ideas, capture it? Because the business world has changed completely. What it used to be very pyramid-based, hierarchical structures have all gone. It's matrix-based. There is enough and more data. Like as Jitu just mentioned, the data overload, basically. And the other thing is that there is no more what we call the retirement age anymore. People migrate. My father worked for the same company for 40 years, retired as an engineer, and what? Sit in the backyard and read the same newspaper 10 times over, have 10 cups of coffee and gossip? No. You are going to live longer. You will probably live till 80, 85, 90 years of age, and you still want to be having an active professional life. But the fact is, most corporates, unfortunately, they still go by that 55, 60 years of age when they retire. So you are competing, the Gen Y, the Gen Z, the millennials, the Gen X, the baby boomers, everyone's competing for the same space. So who would have thought, marketing has changed. You got Facebook and social media and everything. All you guys should all know that. What we know is not all we know, not enough, not good enough. Okay. There are more than 10,000 books being published every single day. And I'm not kidding. Take any genre. If you take leadership, for example, there are 10,000 books published every day because the publishing industry has changed with Kindle Direct Publishing and Amazon and everything else going on. So at the same time, there is, what we call the Twitter feeds and, Instagram and all the other social media. I mean, if you just think about this, number of text messages sent and received every single day exceeds the population of the planet. I mean, just think for how many messages you received today, for example, each of you. How many did you send today? Right. So there is a need for us to differentiate and innovate. And that's where I think what the smart thing would be that unfortunately, what happens is a lot of professionals, when they come in here as a superstar, they come into the company thinking, oh my God, naturally, they are just come out of business school and say, oh, well, I've come out of this top school. But there comes a point you get stagnated. And then there is, if you don't learn, 65% of the world's population do not read a book after they leave college. Fact. Think about it. People do not read a book after they leave college and they wonder why they're not growing. Because for you to grow, you need to learn. And for you to learn, you need to grow. Otherwise, you'll go down to this black hole. So you need to constantly be, innovating. You'll actually just constantly all the time. You're transitioning all the time. I think you're coming in, you're going either headhunting, there's all sorts of transitions going on. So, but the other alarming thing is 50% failure rate of transition. This is again because you may be good at level 1, but just because you're good at level 1, that doesn't mean to say you're good at level 2 because the competencies are very different. And as you go up the ladder, if you go up the ladder, corporate ladder, the competencies are very, very different at the senior level. Just because technically you may be very sound, finance background, etc. But I meet a lot of professionals, they can't even open their mouth and to communicate. Jitu touched on the point of communication, creativity. These are the soft skills which are no longer nice to have skills. Whether you are wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to go from, I said, enough of corporate, I want to become an entrepreneur. You must have all these skills. You have to position yourself as Mr. Khalifa, because there are many tall buildings in Dubai, but there is only one the tallest building in the world. When I was in Dubai, as to come back to Australia, people never ask me how the tall buildings in Dubai. They only say, how is Burj Khalifa? So you have to play the game where you position yourself as the authority, which means that you have to be known for knowing something, not just knowing something. Don't be just a kitchen expert. Because, when I say kitchen expert, they'll say, I'm actually A, B, C. They talk about done their MBA 15 years ago. You're still harping about it today? Really? Get real. You finish your college today, you're already behind the ball game. That's how fast the world is moving. So you need to be on the game all the time. So what does that mean? You need to, pick up, sharpen up your skills. And this is where the time for thought leadership. I suppose, what is thought leadership? So I'll tell you in a nutshell. Idea is, in a nutshell, there are tall buildings in Dubai. I told you about Burj Khalifa. You have to be known as Mr. Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, where you go inch wide, mile deep expertise. You become the authority. When you speak on your topic of your passion, of your interest, of your obsession, the place will vibrate. Otherwise, you don't stand a chance. 98% is not good enough. Don't be a fluffy duck as a kitchen expert that you read something somewhere and have a shallow conversation. If you want to play this game in the 21st century, be the very best. Otherwise, don't even bother, in short. Okay, so that's kind of where, so the 9 skills. One is to capture your uniqueness, Who is you? What are your expertise, different perspectives. So that's the capture part. Then you go on to package yourself. So this is where I say positioning. Go on to become a masterful storyteller, orator. trainer, mentor, coach, facilitator, all of that. You actually go on to author your own books. The days of business cards have gone because you spend all this money and you create a beautiful looking business card and you give it to someone. Guess where that business card will go? 2 minutes later, in the bin. Instead, why don't you write a book, an ebook or a physical book? Because you can actually, you don't have to spend any money to create a book, because you can do that through Amazon and KDP, all that. So you can, instead of giving a business card, you give a book. Instantly, you go and position yourself. And then you go execute. How do you go on to master the art of selling? You don't say, I work in supply chain, hence I don't have to sell. No, sorry. Even a teacher to a student has to sell. A parent to a child has to sell. The fact that you're listening to me, I'm trying to sell you something. I may not be selling, but I'm sharing knowledge. So that's also selling. So art of selling as a skill that you must master in the 21st century. You may be technically very sound, but you just sitting behind the computer and confined to your desk is not good enough. So this is kind of where I suppose these are the skills. So in the new age, I call it the blue collar workers will no longer exist in the next few years because machines are already taking over. Sophia, the first female robot, is already out in Saudi Arabia and every other country. We know about artificial intelligence, etc. So we are not, we are saying, the new age skills, new collar workers, I'm calling them. IBM came up with the term. So we are no longer will have the blue collars and we won't have the white collars. Instead, we have this new breed called the new collar workers, where not only will we be technically very sound, but masterful storytellers, masterful when it comes to copywriting skills, creativity, video creation, social media skills. All these are skills which are the game-changing skills of the 21st century. Well, I'm going to pause. Let me just stop this presentation and let me turn my camera on. I'm back on. Bindu, that was my 10 minutes, I think.
Thank you very much. I think the how, the what, and the why plays a very crucial role. And then, as you rightly said, the world is moving towards the why, focusing more on the why. I think after a while, they'll come back, and that is when what they say, you don't touch the same river twice. So what is lost, and then a lot of reworking is to be done. So that is one thing which I think all the budding entrepreneurs should keep in mind. Today is the age of ideas. We were talking about data overload, and the best thing which I actually loved was that nowadays there is no retirement age. I feel that most of us, after 40, it is like this wanting to do list is there, right? I think most of us are getting into the wanting to do list. All those things which were packed with those naphthalene balls, actually we open that, and I think after 40 or 50, we think that, okay, fine, it's time to do it. I think I think that is why the retirement age becomes so very beautiful. This phase becomes so very beautiful, yeah. So that is one great thing which is happening in the current era. And then there are too much of data overload, information overload and everything. So the attention span becomes very, very difficult. And then, our mind craves for more. That's what I would call as, be it a negative news or whatever it is. Okay, this is not enough. We are just looking for more. I mean, we're not bothered on what happens on the side. That is, again, lifelong learning. Otherwise, it's the way is towards a black hole. That's beautifully put across. And being unique, I always talk about the blue ocean strategy and being unique, that is what matters. Beautiful phase. We should be known for knowing something, right? Rather than just being there, knowing for something. And the new collar workforce, right, which is a combination of everything, the holistic, being holistic in nature. So just loved all those 9 points which you shared: the passion, the interest, the obsession, power packed, I would say. But the 10 minutes is just not enough for Dr. Menon. We just summarized everything, and then the way he speaks, he actually speaks, he goes on for hours speaking about So unfortunately, we have had only 10 minutes of his time. Thank you very much, Dr. Menon, for sharing your thoughts with us today. Yeah, thank you. And now may I invite Mr. S.P. Kamath, Executive Director, Amalgam Group of Companies, to speak on the topic, the importance of financial literacy for future entrepreneurs. Shri S.P. Kamath is a fellow member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India and also holds master's degree in law with specialization in corporate laws. Shri Kamath has worked for corporate sector and industry over 31 years, holding senior positions in commercial, taxation, internal audit and corporate legal and secretarial department. Shri S.P. Kamath was the chairman of the Cochin chapter for the year 2009 to 10 and also the chairman for the second term during 2014 to 15. It was under the chairmanship of Mr. Kamath, the Cochin chapter hosted the first Kerala State Conference of Company Secretaries in 2009 and 14th National PCS Conference of Company Secretaries during 2014. Shri Kamath is currently the member of the Executive Committee of the Cochin Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is one of the oldest Chamber of Commerce in India. He was also the member of Regional Advisory Committee of the Commissioner of Central Tax, Central Excise, Customs, representing the Service Tax sector and SSI sector, and also the member of the GST expert team at the Zonal Office headquarters. Shri Kamath is presently employed with Amalgam Group of Companies, Cochin, as the Executive Director and Company Secretary, heading the Corporate Finance, Legal and Company Affairs Department of the group. Over to Mr. S.P. Kamath, please.
Thanks, Bindu. Thank you so much. Again, good morning to all my fellow speakers, participants, and other members who are there. It's a great pleasure to be here and share our thoughts on this wonderful contemporary topic, actually. So let me congratulate the school authorities and the office bearers for having taken this initiative, because this is very important. I'll speak from my experience as a corporate. I know how, what is my experience, and probably that should help the students to make a comparison of what was the role of a financial professional earlier and role going to be in future, actually. So friends, I will just go back 30 years back when I started my career, way back in late 1980s and early 90s. The role of finance professional was completely different, actually. We used to have, general manager finance used to be considered to be the boss, actually, GM finance. And no one has even heard of a designation called CFO. The concept of CFO itself was not there in India in 1990s and 80s, actually. It used to be general manager means somebody really at the top of the finance function. And what was the finance manager role that time, actually? Normally, we were all youngsters, just joined as management trainees, and we used to have a layer of bosses, actually, and the top fellow used to be GM finance. The finance manager's role is to be, you get the monthly accounts done. You have a thing called a monthly review meeting. That happens 10th of next month. Suppose this is October 31st. We'll have a review meeting on 10th of November where we will present the figures, say that this is what the company has done, this is what company has achieved. A postmortem review will be done by the finance head. And if you're done well, you are appreciated. If you're not well, somebody will get sacked or you'll get some bashing. And apart from that, the role of the finance manager was basically to see that you maintain accounts, you get the audited accounts, to hold a general body meeting, get the accounts adopted, and based on the accounts, you go and borrow money from the bank. And life was very simple, because that time borrowing used to be either from a bank or from the institution. We had in India, we had term lending institutions where that time in late 80s and 90s, like ICICI Limited, IDBI Limited, which are later on went on to become banks. So go and borrow money, and the finance manager basic role was that you see that the monthly interest obligations are met, or the installments are paid, and that is to be the basic role of the finance manager of the earlier times. Thanks to liberalization, after 1990, after we started the liberalization, globalization, when the government and the Reserve Bank or authorities allowed the foreign investments to come to India, many of the sectors were opened up for foreign investors, the total scenario of the financial professional changed, actually. That is where the role of the finance professional started gaining importance. If you go by the this magazine called Finance Matters, where PWD had made a report or what is going to be the future of finance professionals in 2030, they said the profession of the finance professional is going to be governed by 4 things, they said. One is a navigation, other is a mediation, resilience, and connectivity. This is what they said. Basically, they are saying that as the professional, finance professionals of the future, you need to ready to embrace the organizational changes. Be flexible, actually. You have to be flexible in your career choices. As students, I'm telling you. And you have to develop the right skill and play a central role in driving business. Because as a finance professional, we are always told you are a gatekeeper. A finance professional is a watchdog, not a problem solver. If there's a problem in the older school, as per the older school of thought, a finance manager did not interfere, a finance did not do anything. He has to give only the data and say, this is your data. Beyond that, his thinking was not required. Friends, things have drastically changed, actually. Things are that. Finance professional today is a part of the central management. He's a part of the strategy, actually. And finance is going to be in the center of organizational performance. And that means there will be transformational changes in the role of the finance professional in future, actually. And it is already happening. As a head of finance in the group where I'm working for almost 27 years, I have seen the role of a finance has drastically changed, actually. Because always we are under the impression, we are always told that finance means number crunching. You have to be the number crunching and you have to present the things. All the things are becoming redundant now, actually. Number crunching game has become redundant. You have to have a real-time reporting now. You need to have a real-time reporting, and all the formal things of finance and the procedures, everything is undergone change now, actually. Today, the finance minister announces a policy by evening, 5 o'clock, the union finance minister announces a policy saying that I'm going to reduce the tax by GST by 5%. Next moment, you will get a call from a CEO. What is going to be the impact on us? That is the kind of information we should have. You can be sure you will get a call from a CEO saying that the finance minister announced 5% reduction. What is going to impact us? Are we going to pass on this benefit to the consumer? How it's going to affect profitability? And you have wonderful TV channels who will go to some of the big companies and go and ask the feedback how it is going to affect, because tomorrow morning stock market, this is going to have an impact, actually. So the world is so fast, the moment policy is announced, you should have at least a rough calculation in mind how it is going to impact a company. That is the kind of speed today what finance managers have to go to work. And when we started the career, it is always very formal kind of a thing. All those things have disappeared now. Today, CEO will say, come, let's meet. All will be called to the conference room. Around the table, they'll sit and the questions are asked, and you must have an answer for them. There is no need to prepare a detailed agenda, circulate the agenda, ask the views. Nothing of that sort will be there. Future is going to be very, very informal. That is why we are saying you must have the commercial understanding today, and not only finance. If you're a finance professional, you must have a commercial understanding of the activities, how your business is run. Those are all important. Everyone is going to ask, justify your existence, actually. It's not enough that I have a qualification or degrees and all those things. Everybody is going to ask you, what is the value addition you have done? Whether it's a finance or the marketing, anything, you have to justify your existence. What is the kind of value addition you have made? And if there is no valuation today, we have no place, actually. Nobody wants a generalist. Everybody wants a specialist. That is why the skill becomes the most important thing in future, actually, if you have to survive in an organization. That is why I'm asking, since you are a college institution, even there should be more interaction by the students and the corporate, actually. I sit on the board of all interviews in my group, actually, at the senior level finance. So I'm very sorry to sometimes I see the quality of students very sad, I feel, actually. Many professionals come interview basically because they have no interaction with the industry. They have studied academics, they know the subject, but they cannot somehow communicate, or something in their mind which is not allowing them to come openly. So I request the college authority that at least for the students, you must have this regular interaction with the corporates, because the expectation of the corporate is completely different from what the college is, actually. Colleges producing academicians and students, brilliant students, but there is some gap in the thing that I think you need to definitely build. And like my previous speaker said, technology is going to be in the forefront, actually. That is going to completely transform the industry. But the problem here is, again, question every time we ask, is the technology going to replace the humans? That is question will come to mind. Like the Mr. PK said, many of the jobs will be out of place. All this, accountant, many of the jobs you regularly do, it's all machine will do it actually. There is no need to have humans or a human being doing all this activity, accountant doing activity. It's all going to change actually. We will have only the skilled and who really such people will continue in the organizations. And so, because it is no doubt that we have to go with the technology. There is no two opinion about that. Technology is definitely going to be a very, very crucial factor. But we should see as a finance manager how I can blend human with the technology actually. If you blend our human or our intelligence and the technology, definitely the outcome is going to be better. For that, definitely as a CFO or a head of finance, you need to assess what is the current strength actually. If I want to share with you, I joined DCM Limited in 1990, exactly 31 years back. When I joined DCM Limited in 1990 in Delhi, DCM Limited, that company is no more, it was done a trifurcation in 1990. The three brothers did the trifurcation and one became DCM Sriram, one became Sriram, like that. The three companies trifurcated. DCM was celebrating 100 years of existence, 1990. And when I went to the office first day, I'm seeing three generations of people working there actually. Somebody was put in 45, 50 years service, is still working. His son is working, grandson has just joined actually. Because those days, somebody passes, he takes his son to the chief accountant and says, "Mera beta ka graduation khatam ho gaya, usko laga do, jo kaam par laga do," they will say. That's how they used to work. The loyalty was built and people are working. I could see that clear generation, and we were the first batch of the management trainees after the trifurcation. So they should always look at some kind of they should always keep a gap in this. So how to blend this gap actually? Because if you want to embrace the technology, you already have people in the organization. How to make them or educate them on new technologies? Definitely, that will throw a challenge to the CFO. That I'm seeing that actually in our organization. Even when we moved from our own internal software program to a new program done by another company, there was objection. People are saying, "Why should we spend money? You have to pay for license." All these objections will come. How to convince them that the technology is, we need to go for a new technology. This itself is a challenge. So getting the people in the organization, training how do you train the old people? Because you cannot get rid of them. They have been working for so many years. How to train them is a challenge, which is for a CFOs actually. And so that is where we have to see that how we can train the people and build a team. Because without the team, you cannot function today. Everything is team-based actually. It's a team activity. So as far as the finance function is concerned, we are going to play a great role. I'm telling you, it is not mere number crunching. It is going to be more strategic involvement in the crucial decisions, and there will be more active role for the finance professionals in the days to come. Like my other speakers said, it is a very dynamic field. Finance is going to be very, very dynamic. It keeps changing. It will keep changing. What is relevant today may not be relevant in the next year actually. So please, we have to keep updated, and that is how the things will work. This I thought I'll just share with you before I just speak on the entrepreneurial finance for next 5 minutes more actually. So with that, I'll just explain a simple thing because all students, entrepreneurial finance means basically it is the study of value of finance or allocation of funds and resources when you have a new project actually. Suppose you want to start a new project. So when you have a concept or an idea or a project, how do I fund it actually? Where will I source the money? What are the kind of resources I need? And all these things are the challenge for an entrepreneur actually. Because it's a new idea. Basically, you have a concept, you are clear on the concept, but you want to make it commercialized actually. So, but when you do that, a lot of things need to come to your mind actually. One, is it possible that I can whatever concept I have got, whether I can make it a commercially viable activity? If so, what is the kind of funding I need? Then who will do the funding? Who will do the new content? Because it's very, very difficult for an entrepreneur to convince any new investors to come and invest in my project. It is very, very difficult unless there is some kind of a track record or something like that. So then the question comes, if somebody is ready to invest, what is the kind of valuation? What is the valuation look at? Because he will say, I will put in, you give me 50%, or he'll say, give me 40%. He may ask for a certain percentage, which an entrepreneur may not be ready to share actually. He may say, no, I will give 20%. The investor may not be interested in a minor stakeholder. So all these things will come. Apart from this, one more important thing in the entrepreneurial finance is, what is the exit route you are giving? He will say, I will invest the money, but tell me when can I exit, or when I exit, how will I get the money? That is another question to be always addressed by the entrepreneur. So how much, so depending on the size, depending on the industry and aspiration of the entrepreneur, normally the fund is involved. When you have an idea, people normally try to put their own money first. And initially to start, people put their own money, they borrow from friends, they borrow from their other relatives, and then they look for angel investors, they look for venture capital. Normally venture capitalists invest in the initial stages, and then probably they can go for a stock option actually. Like we have a classic case of a Zomato, which went to the public issue. Zomato was also a startup a long time, 5-6 years back, by Dipender Goyal. So they had a concept, they built the brand, they took it to the market. Friends, one thing is important, business and the value has no relevance to it, has no relation to it. For example, take as a Zomato, a company which is doing reasonably good turnover, but bleeding, it is continuously bleeding, it's making losses, but still is able to go public, raise money, issue gets oversubscribed 32 times, again 9,000 crore, they raise some astronomical figures. The share which is issued 75 opens at 115, goes up to 150, a loss-making company. But what has happened in the process is you have sold the concept, saying that there's a value in the future. Everybody says it is a future business, future business. This is the kind of creativity that is happening in finance today. Then I was told that next Paytm is going to come with the issue, which is going to be priced much, much higher than that. They said a 1 rupee share or 2 rupee share is going to be 2,000. If it's 1 rupee, then it's going to be 20,000 rupees per share, 10 rupee share. Again, a concept which is being sold. And so like that, you should be able to sell the concept and convince actually. But normally in the entrepreneurial finance, what happens is when you go with the plan, when you go with the idea or a concept, there's a skepticism about whether it is commercially viable or not. That is what happens. That is one problem you will face actually. Then whether you have required financial resources from your side to commercialize this project, whether you have a managerial expertise to run this project, all these things will be part of your due diligence actually. So when you go to anybody, you will ask these questions. How do you fund? How do you sustain? Because all these projects will have cash burn. Cash burn means initial years you will keep on spending money. There is no return actually. You will have to must keep on pumping money, or somebody else has to pump in money. So all these things will have to be kept in mind when you go to any investors, because there is going to be uncertainty of the project. There is uncertainty. There's going to be commercial uncertainty. There is going to be the information gaps will be there. So what you perceive and what the investor perceives, there can be a gap. And there is thirdly, you may have a wonderful idea. So you may have a wonderful idea, you may have an IPR, you may have a soft assets, but these cannot be monetized. You will not be able to monetize initially on these soft assets. And secondly, volatility and the market situation also is important, because sometimes the investor may think, if I put money, whether I'll get it back, how the market is going to react, how the market volatility, all these things are going to affect. But generally, when you do entrepreneurial finance, one of the ways of funding is called bootstrapping. I don't know whether you know about bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is a method where the entrepreneur uses his own money. He doesn't use external money. He uses his money to fund his business, basically. So what he does, he puts his own money and starts the business. So what he gets, there's a freedom of action, because he sees his own money is using. So there's a freedom of action for him. He uses his money, doesn't touch an external money. He doesn't take salary. Instead, he will take a sweat equity. He will say, let me take the shares. Let me not take the salary, so the cash is preserved. So he uses his own money to build the business and take it to a particular level. That is called bootstrapping, we call it actually. The other type of funding is financial external funding, where he goes to an angel investor. Angel means somebody who is ready to invest money at the very initial stages, or he goes to a venture capitalist who is ready to invest. He takes a risk. Venture capital, normally they take a risk and invest money. Like that, you can raise the money from the venture capitalist or an external financing, And you can raise also money from other sources also. Like suppose the company has an assets which you don't need, you can dispose of the assets. So like that, you can raise various sorts of money. This is how you an entrepreneur normally raises the funds. But one thing is important: it is not that easy. Today, many of the startups have failed in India because they are not able to get required funding. So when you think of investing, you must be really clear how you can do the funding. There's going to be cash burn, there's going to be lead time, you will not be able to make money initial to it. All these things are important. And but certainly a lot of new startups are coming. The government is now encouraging a lot of startups. And I feel like there's going to be a great scope for entrepreneurial startups in future. Actually, that's what I want to say in my remarks.
Thank you, sir. Very simply put across, but beautifully put across. Thank you very much for that. No wonder that when I asked Mr. Srijit, he immediately came up with your name, saying that, definitely this session would help the students. Thank you very much for that. You were saying from GM to CFO, we really don't know what is going to be next.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. The new job roles, new definitions are on the way. So we'll have to wait and watch what is going to be the next. And 2030, we're talking about the era of navigation, mediation, resilience, and connectivity. Hope the students have taken note of it. From number crunching, it's all about real-time reporting, strategizing. Finance as a world is going to be dynamic, so the students should change according to the changing times, which means that fast, spontaneous, swiftness. I think these are three words are the ones which would define an accountant. Right, commercial understanding and value addition, very, very important. And you were saying that the gap between the campus to career, right?
Yes.
I wish that more and more experts like you are willing to share or share their thoughts with students, so that this bridge is basically this gap is basically bridged, would be very, very helpful. And for the future entrepreneurs, we're talking about the commercial viability, the funding, which is very, very important, how they need to take over the valuation, and then the connectivity between business and value. Beautiful, Zomato was a beautiful eye opener, right? Irrespective of you not being doing very good in the business, but then again, if you show that it is going to be commercially viable in future, you can still source money or financial support. Selling the concept, that's something, expertise, and you were talking about the ways to raise money. I'm sure that students would have got lots and lots of information from this presentation of yours. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now may I invite the students to share their perspectives on the topic. Students, you may speak for 3 to 5 minutes. Let's hear from Ananta Krishnan, who has done his BA Honors program, who is an ex-EY and currently working as finance manager. Ananta, your turn, please.
First of all, I would like to thank Bindu ma'am and ISC for giving me this opportunity. It's been a pleasure to be here with this great man this morning. So my name is Ananta Krishnan and I'm an alumni of ISC. Currently, I'm working as a finance manager at a UK-based digital marketing company. So being a finance professional, I can say that the traditional image of finance team as serving purely technical role is increasingly becoming outdated nowadays. The world's urban population is likely to double within the next 30 years, I guess. And the fast-paced urbanization is bringing with its numerous challenges and the opportunities. As such, the best time to strap up and take action is right now. And now is the time where the businesses and the employers are looking for highly skilled and technically sound professionals who can offer more than just solutions. They want professionals who can foresee the changes before they can happen and take charge. If we equip ourselves with the right skills right now and the knowledge, then the best opportunities of this urban revolution will be coming and knocking at our doorsteps. Thanks to the ongoing advances in digital technologies such as robotics, advanced analytics in intelligent automation and artificial intelligence. The way workers perform even for the most rudimentary tasks are changing. But digital acumen is not enough for to play a more transformative role. And the employees demanding for us to broaden our expertise and reshape the skills for building the talent gap we are facing right now. And like I said before, we are currently experiencing a rapid transformation of the way we work, and this is only expected to increase in the near future. The skill sets that are sought after now are changing, and by around 2030, it is expected that the new requisite skills will be required to start a career in finance sector. What this means is that the flexibility and ability to adapt will be the key skills in the workplace for the future. Technology will have a significant impact on every industry, including finance, and then this will change the skills that are required to excel in each profession as well. We must demonstrate our adaptability, ability to learn quickly and efficiently, and have a flexible approach for new opportunities. Accepting and demonstrating the skills is a key to ensuring that we secure the best opportunities. In conclusion, I can say that technical advancements are already making their mark on the finance industry, and this increasing need in the industry, as well as the employers who want those who are more aligned to learn new skills, are becoming increasing. However, with the pace at which the technology is advancing, it is likely to create a wide deficit in the number of employees with the required technical skills. So it will happen within a few years, I guess. So to make ourselves indispensable and asset, it is necessary to undergo continuous training and education. We can say that we don't have to look for jobs, and then the jobs will come and looking for us as well. So by that, I'm concluding my words, and thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ananta Krishnan. That is a wonderful way of putting it across. Flexibility and adaptability, new skills way forward. I mean, people should be willing to change with the changing times, right? Thank you very much. Now it's time for Abhishek Gupta. Abhishek Gupta is in his final year doing his BA Honors in International Business and Finance. Abhishek.
Thank you, ma'am, for including me in this webinar session. So, as you all know, my name is Abhishek. I'm currently pursuing BA IBF in ISC Kochi. And I'll be talking about the impact of the students for the future in the financial sector and bridging the talent gap. So as we all know that we have joined here to know what are the skills required for the upcoming students or graduates in order to sustain this financial sector. Like it should be mainly by upgrading ourselves and reaching up to that mark. So in the present world, we can see that the world is changing rapidly and everything gets updated and upgraded as time goes. So we should be able to reach with it and keep up the pace, or else we will be on the bottom of the line. And the best ones will reach to the top. And that will be only for a little while because every time it gets updated. So this is just generally an outline what happens in every industry. So be it any field. So talking about this financial sector, we in this industry earlier, we can see that everything was manually done, be it the calculations.
Are we able to hear Abhishek or no, right?
In between, where it was went off actually.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, fine. Right. Let him resume once is yeah. Now may I ask Sai Krishna, who is pursuing his ACCA program with ISDC Trivandrum. Yeah, for his thoughts on the topic.
Morning all. My name is Sai Krishna. I'm a first year BVOC student in ISDC Trivandrum. I'm so much delighted to have the opportunity to present the students' view at financial skills and knowledge and how we can build the talent gap. First of all, I thank Ms. Bindu ma'am for giving me such an opportunity. So I'm thinking of talking about something like financial literacy and how it will affect the financial students and all other in the upcoming years. So what exactly is financial literacy? It is the ability to make smart financial decisions, right, which results in the desired financial outcome. But like we are studying many other concepts, things in the future. It's not like that. It's not about understanding the concepts and statistics, but it's about our ability to develop an ability to make right smart decisions, right financial decisions at the right time. So it is quite possible that a college dropout will be more financially successful than a PhD holder. It's quite possible because educational institutions do not teach us about money and finance and how to use it effectively, how to save money, how to be financially effective and efficient. So that's why most of the people struggle in taking financial decisions in life. They know how to make money. We all know how to make. There are many ways we can do and we can make money, but we don't know how to manage it well, right? That's why I'm so glad that ISC is taking the initiative to educate us about these things. And yeah, and by this, the only sustainable wealth is financial education and training. If you lose all your wealth with any problems, you still can earn those through your knowledge. One of the most suitable example for this is a study proves that more than 90% of lottery winners will end up bankrupt within 2 to 3 years, right? Why is it happening? Because they are getting a reward, a huge reward, like millions of dollars or crores of rupees. But most of the people will end up bankrupt because they don't know how to use it effectively. They don't know how much to spend, how to spend, and how much we should save, and how to set our goals in the future, how to direct our financial decisions, etc. So it's very important to have financial literacy in this current generation. And yeah, for this, I got some examples about US statistics reports. From the US statistics reports, it's about greater than 50% of adults in the US are financially anxious because they don't know how to manage the money they're getting. They don't know how to efficiently manage their paychecks. And that's increasing their stress levels. And just like that, this statistics says that 2 in 3 families lack an emergency fund. We all know that. We all know the importance of an emergency fund. But if we take an example, in our country, less than 10% of the people keeps an emergency fund. It's like people don't want to save money. They want to spend every money they get, every penny they get, and they don't think about the future. They just want to live in the current. And that's why it is so important to have a financial literacy in this world, current scenario. So with that being said, I conclude my words. Thank you. Thank you.
It was wonderfully put across. Even I was just reading, this was a question which was put across to Bill Gates, whether he would marry his daughter to a poor man. And then this lottery thing, he came up as an example, saying that, it's not about money, it's about how important is it to manage money. Wonderfully put across. I thank you very much for that. Abhishek, you lost a connectivity, and then can you just summarize what you were intending to say?
Yeah, sorry for the network interruption.
No problem. Yeah.
So as I was saying, we have evolved gradually and the humans have adapted quickly. So just from filling paperwork and doing financial statement, we have changed a long way. So now there are many roles in the financial sector, just like financial analyst, financial advisor, fund manager. So there's a diversification in the exact category. So all this can be achieved only by improving and learning things. So we have to be ready for everything. So being just a financial student, you won't be able to get a job. So you need to look into other financial aspects too, so that you can prove to be an asset to the company, or else you will be just kicked out and the better one will be replacing you. So if you are looking in another way, just from a part where people were not able to use computer and now everyone are using the computer and it's getting upgraded. The introduction of new technology like AI, robotics, and everything gets, and eventually humans will be replaced. So we should be able to compete with the robots in the future. Right now we are competing with people for our position. In future, we should be able to be compete with the robots, and somehow humans will anyway outwin them. So, but still we should be able to do that. So if we have to be prepared for everything. So individuals need to be able to keep an eye open for the potential careers and options and work proactively to develop their new skills. So they have to be updated every day as new things come in every hour. So we should be we should be equipped, and we should be having a pure knowledge about technology and everything, not just our bookish knowledge. So, and employees must demonstrate their commitment to the learning and development to their teams through investing in platforms to support their skills. So just like that, as I was saying, we have to be able to compete with the robots and this new technology. So in order to be receptive towards these changes, it is necessary to have brief experience for the students at the earliest stage, be it in the freshers years of the college or in the schooling levels. They should be having an exposure to the companies so that the students will have a small taste like how the companies will be changing every now and then. So we should be ready for that. So what I think is that at the early stages of schooling itself, now we should be having a small internship programs for the students so that they will know how the actual world works, not just the bookish world. In reality, how the world looks at you. So if we're having a great experience with that, it will help us to improve ourselves and be a better version in the future. So that's what I have to say. We have to be ready for every change, and we should have a small experience in this world also, and in the career to make it a better thing. So by this, I conclude.
Thank you, Abhishek. So convincing that, you're sounding very optimistic that we'll be able to win, right? The technology or whatever. So, and then your point about introducing, financial knowledge right from the school days, again, something which is very important, which I think, we love to do that. Now over to, there are a couple of questions. My first question from the audience is to Dr. Menon. Dr. Prakash Menon, continuous disruption, rapid technological innovation, there is turbulence, which requires today's leaders build agile organizations with resilient employees. We were talking about this in order to achieve superior performance. So how can a finance professional transform himself to be the leader of tomorrow, right? Taking care of all these aspects, sustain and lead successfully?
Well, okay, thank you, Bindu. So that's a very appropriate question. So, I mean, I suppose that goes for not just the financial professional, it could be any professional.
Right.
As a leader, there are three roles of a leader. Okay, essentially, if you break it down. Number one, what is the role of a leader? One is to provide clarity from confusion. So if you are in the role of a leader, then your role is to provide clarity from confusion. Number two is to provide confidence from fear. And now it's obviously, as a finance professional, that is where Mr. Kamath was alluding as well, where it's not just about number crunching. You play a strategic role in the functioning. The days have gone where you just made a bean counter. You're now part of, you're providing confidence, because that's what people are looking at you for, leadership. Okay. And thirdly is to mobilize your troops in pursuit of a better future. And I think Abhishek mentioned about optimism. People want to actually see there is hope and faith. Like Obama won the two elections that he won was the word called hope. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So that is what a good finance professional should be doing in the form of a leader. Okay. So I'm saying finance could be any leader. Okay. So that's kind of what leadership traits, what leadership qualities a good professional coming out from finance in a leadership role should aspire to become. Inspiring others, capturing their minds and their hearts. And that is where it's important to, I think that will be where they'll stand out as a good leader.
Thank you very much. My next question is to Mr. Kamath. As you rightly said, finance is no longer about envisioning Wall Street high rises, fancy suits, and frantic stock tickers. In a changing world, how is it possible for future entrepreneurs to know why is 1 rupee today worth more than a rupee tomorrow, or how to choose where to invest? How do students basically prepare themselves to make smarter decisions throughout their life?
Yeah, very good question actually, because most of the people don't do the homework before they invest actually. I have seen many of my friends, the morning they come, they want to buy some share. I said, why you want to buy this share? No, Mr. Rakesh told me yesterday he is going to buy, so I want to buy. Last time he told me to buy something, I did not buy, I lost the money. So this time I don't want to miss that, I want to buy. So which is a very wrong way of investing, because somebody is investing. Some people say, yesterday in CNBC, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala was saying that share of such and such a company is good. It has a good future, so I am going to pick up that share. See, investments are not done like that. Before you make an investment, first mentally we should think, am I ready to make an investment? If so, I must put my financial house in order. If you're a corporate or an entrepreneur, actually, you can't put your hard-earned money into some dustbin, actually. So if you're mentally prepared, keep your financial house in order. You have a cases running, you have an income tax demand spending, you have got a lot of litigation spending. Those times you go and invest money, it is actually doomsday only. You will not be able to get anything. So first we must mentally decide, I'm going to invest and my house is in order. And you can take a decision, I will invest. If you think that I make a decision, I will invest, then find out how much I can invest and where I can invest actually. Whether in a debt or whether it is in an instrument. And it should all be governed by my goal actually, long term or short term. If I am doing an investment for a short term, definitely I cannot put in a real estate. I should put in liquid asset so that I can sell it and get the money if I'm looking for short term. If I'm looking for a long term, I'm very optimistic in the long term things will improve. You can put in the assets which will take a longer time for appreciation, but you're sure that you are able to get it. So that is the first decision you must take. What is your aim, objective of the investment? Long term, short term, and you have ability to invest money. Second convince, do not borrow. Lot of people I have seen, they say, I am getting interest here at 6%, let me take this money, put in 9% there. So interest, they try to do arbitrage and try to make money. Do not borrow. This is the cause. Many of the companies have failed today because they have taken the short-term money, put in long-term money. So many cases it has happened like that. And when the crisis comes, they don't have money because they have invested in the long-term actually. Companies like ILFS, company like Diwan Sauching, AAA rated company by our credit agencies have gone today into difficulties because so much of money has gone diverted for a long-term purpose which is not really meant for it. Today, all of them are struggling actually. Third one, we must have a clear goal. If I'm investing the money, if I'm expecting some appreciation, reason what I'm going to do with this money. Nobody thinks that actually. Nobody thinks, okay, what I'll do, at least I must have an idea. Suppose I invest this money, what is the purpose of investing this money? If these the basic questions are answered, then the opportunities are plenty. You can, depending on your ability to take a risk, you can invest in equity or you can invest in bonds. You can save for investment, all those things. But before you invest, please study the investment or a company or where you are investing. See the background of the promoters. See what kind of a track record they have got. See the performance of the peers in the same industry. You may put money in some industry which is actually is going to sink actually. So try to make this comparison and check the background. See all these things, and then only we need to invest. Whether it's a corporate investment or a personal investment. Suppose you are making a personal investment, all these principles are applicable, and then only invest the money actually, because money doesn't come easily today. Money doesn't come easily, and getting into litigation in India is impossible today. You may think that I may go to file a suit. It is not like abroad where you can file a suit and get the decrees or orders from the court. India, suit goes on forever actually. So we cannot take that risk in India. So these three basic principles have to be applied in your mind before you do any investment for any kind of investment. That is my view.
Thank you very much. Next question is to Dr. Menon. The operating principles, they are characterized by the core values, help guide behaviors and decision making in companies. Now, but the millennials are basically deeply motivated by corporate social responsibilities and compelling sense of purpose and things like that. So how do we bridge this purpose and principles to help employees engage in a support of high performance?
Well, I think no, I'm just listening to the question, Bindu. I think I've answered that partially in my presentation as well.
Right. Yeah.
Because I said, they say there's an expression: knowledge without practice is useless. But practice without knowledge is dangerous.
Right.
Knowledge without practice is useless. Practice without knowledge is dangerous. So having a purpose, which is what everyone wants to these days. I want to be an entrepreneur. I've been hearing entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted, first of all. Do you have what it takes when it's not about how high you climb? Do you actually have how high you can bounce back? If things go pear-shaped and you do, it can happen. Seriously, COVID-19 didn't come, it wasn't planned, or it just happened like that. So resilience is the key word. Do you have what it takes? And that's where I think everything that all the other fellow speakers and just hearing Mr. Kamath as well, having that education and the instruments and making sure that we have the how and the what and the why and the if, all four. What happens if, what happens? So we need all of them. Otherwise, why alone, purpose alone. So I think if you have a combination of all four, you'll be right.
Thank you. Now, the last question is to Mr. Kamath. Your advice to the future entrepreneurs on I think most of that you've already said that, but still, the tips and tricks and, to understand this big question, like ultimately it turns out to be the only question, which is, what is the impact on the financial statement of this particular decision that you're going to make?
See, I'll rephrase your question like this. How do financial statement help in decision making?
Right, yeah.
That's what I'll rephrase your question. How do the financial statement help in making decisions actually? See, there are three areas normally, financial statements, which will help us to make decisions actually. One is from the investor's point of view. When they see the financial statements actually, they're basically the profit, your balance sheet and income statement and cash flows. These are the basic universally accepted statement. As long they are transparent, act as there's no malafide intention, if they're all done properly according to generally accounting standards, as long those accounts are there, I think it will give an opportunity for any investor to see what the company is doing, whether the valuations are fair or not, and if they want to invest money, whether there is sufficient safeguards for them to invest money. So from investors, it's for the investors, the financial statements tremendous important. Second, for the lenders, actually, today the banks and financial institutions will lend to any company based on their financial statements. So any adverse things in the financial will go to impact you actually. Even adverse comments made by the management also certain times impact the situation of it changes the situation of the company. So first one, for the investors, for them to make a decision, your financial statements are very important. For the lenders also. Thirdly, nowadays the recent trend has been the kind of there's a report of corporate governance given your financial statements. Many people go through that and see how transparent you are, how good your disclosures are. There may be related party transaction, there may be inter-directors, inter-company transaction, all these things. See, if your company has too many inter-company transactions, too many transaction directors, it is not perceived as a great company actually. You may be making profits, you may be earning profit, but when they see there is a transaction with the related parties, led company, all these things are not taken in a right spirit. Though you may be transferred, everything must be above the table. But even then, if such companies are there, but that's why the report of corporate governance becomes very important nowadays to see how transparent is the company, how clear are the picture actually, how the figures are in black and white. So if these things we can draw from the financial statements, definitely you can make a decision. So it becomes important that the accounts becomes very important. Finance is very important for decision of all the three people, actually, investors, lenders, and also from any other investor's point of view, from the governance point of view, how well the companies run, you can definitely make out from the corporate governance. Definitely.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's time for the panelist feedback, please. Dr. Menon.
Feedback as in from what I think?
Yes, please. Yeah.
This is a great initiative, Bindu. First of all, I think it's a privilege for me to be even part of this. So thank you. I think it's a fantastic thing for students. I think we should do more of this. I think someone spoke about the more we educate our student community, the better knowledgeable they become and the better prepared they become when they come into corporate. It is completely a very different place to be when they come out into the real world. What you teach, what you learn in universities or colleges are far from what really happens in reality out in the real world. So I think this exposure, this education is fantastic.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kamath?
Oh, it's great. It has been very, it's a learning for us also, actually. It was very pleasure listening to PK and your JK also, both. And I really enjoyed it. I always love interacting with the students. I do address company secretaries. Every program of the students, I go and speak to them. And I really enjoyed it and hope that I'll have a chance in future also to address the students.
Definitely. We would be actually blessed to have both of you in our future, sessions. Ananda Krishnan?
Yeah, ma'am, it's a great initiative, like sir said. Like purely we are looking out of the winter, like going towards a technical point of view. It's also needed to bridge the gap between the finance skills. So yeah, it's a great, and we are looking forward for more and more sections like this.
Thank you. Sai Krishna?
Yeah, ma'am, it's a great initiative and I appreciate the effort which is putting towards it for making it helpful to us. And I hope there will be more sessions like this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Abhishek?
It's a good session for everyone. Actually, it will be better for if the faculties were also included so that they can also maybe change the way they take. And it will be, more students come, it will be a learning curve for everyone. I'm probably hoping for better sessions in the coming future.
Thank you very much. Thank you, panelists, Mr. Jitu Koshi, Dr. Prakash Menon, Mr. SP Kamath, for having contributed your insights on the topic and addressing almost all the queries raised. Thank you, students. Vivek, he joined with us and he messaged me saying he's not able to speak. So still, thank you for joining with us. Ananda Krishnan, Abhishek, and Sai Krishna. Thank you, Ms. Soumya, Ms. Kavya, and Ms. Unimaya, ISC, ISDC team of Kochi, Trivandrum, and Bangalore for all the support. Thank you, parents and all the participants. Wish you all a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much. I would say stay safe. Thank you, all of you.